The Warriors are signing Quenton Post, the 52nd pick, to a two-way contract ahead of training camp per source. He's a stretch center. To make room, they're waiving Plowden. They still intend to bring Plowden to camp to compete for a two-way spot. That's Anthony Slater about 30 minutes ago on Twitter. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, man. I don't like it at all. Now, I love the fact that they've secured Quenton Post on the roster, and we'll talk about him in a minute, but I don't understand why it had to be Plowden. You have 3 two-way spots. Before this post and this news today, those 3 spots were occupied by Plowden, Reese Beekman, and Pat Spencer. Now, I like Pat Spencer just fine, right? He's been with the organization for several years now, and he looked good in Summer League. I know Kerr loves him, but Reese Beekman was clearly the guy that you move out of that two-way spot to bring in Quenton Post. And so now you have Daquan. Listen, I think a lot of us were excited about him after what he showed at Summer League, right? He's a knockdown, moonshot three-point shooter, a high motor guy that's willing to defend with a good frame and size on the wing. I had compared him to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a.k.a. keep championship players. Now I'm getting a little extreme here, right? He hasn't done much in the NBA, but I just don't understand why they chose Daquan. Give me a minute here to tell you about today's sponsor, Factor. They've been a huge supporter of the channel for over a year now because, well, I actually use Factor. It's fresh, never frozen food delivered directly to your doorstep, all dietitian approved. And they've got something for everyone. Over 32 different meals to choose from per week. Smart Cow, Chef's Choice. I highly recommend the Protein Plus meals just to keep you more satiated. You can order immunity shots, juices. Again, something for everyone. And I think for most people, lunchtime is the problem time because you're in a hurry, you may be on the go, and you end up settling for what's supposed to be some sort of value meal. It costs way more than you want, and then you end up feeling bad afterwards. And this is where Factor can come in. 2 minutes, your meal is ready, it's sustainable, and most importantly, you're getting quality food. So head over to factor75.com or click the link in the description and use the code Alchemy50 for 50% off your first box at Factor. If you're watching this video when it's a couple days old, maybe other news has broke and they shifted some things around. This is breaking news, which I typically don't just jump on and speak about right away. But I was a little surprised that it was Daquan, right? Now, is part of this because they're like, maybe we want to just give Plowden a full guaranteed contract, something like Trace Jackson Davis, where it's like a 4-year, very value deal when it looks like for the team and the organization. Is that part of it? Is part of it because they're like, no, we maybe just want to keep him at long-term, beyond two-way, because, there are limitations with the two-way players as far as playoff eligibility and, just certain things, right? I don't think it's as easy to retain guys in that two-way spot once it's up. So maybe that's the thinking, because Reese Beekman, where did he play? Did he play for Musselman at an SEC school? I wasn't really familiar with him. He played in the California Classic, and he got chipped up. But they didn't report anything about it, but he didn't play in Vegas. We know he's a defensive-minded guard who moves the ball. He can run a team, and the jumper was kind of the question with him, and it didn't look great in the few games you saw him at Summer League. So maybe, hey, they're still high on him. It's not fair to judge Beekman and the little bit we saw him this summer. But what is fair is to say how much we saw of Plowden. He's in the prime of his career at 26 years old. And so for them to make this choice, I'd have preferred it be Beekman or Pat Spencer over Plowden for giving up that two-way spot, unless maybe they have plans for him for an actual roster spot in, a multi-year contract. I wouldn't be mad at that. Now, let's talk about big Quenton Post here for a second, because 7'1" out of Boston College, 4 years there, right? And you hear the term stretch big, stretch center, right? And it really, the value of that is well beyond just a center that'll knock down a 3 or 2 in a game. It's not really like, oh, he's gonna hit 5 threes in a game, although Post does seem like a prolific shooter as far as his trigger. but it's more so the versatility of lineups that it allows. And I am getting ready to release a video on the Warriors starting lineup, what it could look like, who it could be, what I think it should be, and what it might be. So check out that video. I'll drop it probably tomorrow. But if you add Quenton Post to the rotation, and I know some of you are saying, oh, he's going to be in the G League. No, this guy was drafted to contribute now. I'm not saying he's going to start, but I could easily see him cracking the rotation and earning situational and spot minutes because, again, when you are a true stretch center, a 5, it allows Steve to play all sorts of different lineups at the other forward position, right? What was such a topic of concern last year was you can't play Wiggins and Kuminga together, right? And then we know Draymond can bog down the spacing. Well, if you got a guy that's really a threat to shoot it out there like Quenton, again, it just changes how dynamic you can be up and down the lineup. You can add more size elsewhere, add more athleticism elsewhere, and be a better defensive unit. Big picture, if Quenton Post can crack the rotation. And that's what I liked about him. He sat out the California Classic at Summer League, right? He had a calf strain, but he played a few games towards the end there in Vegas. And right away, you could see how refined he is in the pick and pop game and as a pick and roll guy. And listen, there's bigs that'll take the 3. It's like, hey, I'll take it. I'll stand out here, and they got to kind of check the weather and make sure everything's perfect for them to take it. And then there's a guy like Quenton Post who is hunting the 3 ball. And I had brought this up before. A lot of centers that shoot the 3, if you notice, they toe that 3-point line. Usually it's the top of the key 3 or a corner 3, the short corner 3, right? But either way, their toes are on that line. They want it to be as short as distance as possible for them to take that shot because it's usually a new shot for them in the last couple of years. Quenton Post, when you saw him in Vegas, like he's calling for the ball, he's firing it 3-4 feet behind the arc. Like he is an actual shooting big man. And, defensively, that's of course going to be the question. And what I saw from him was north-south. He was really good in the pick and rolls as far as stepping up and showing and then retreating, not giving up a lob over the top, but still being able to kind of like contest and play that cat and mouse game, something that Wiseman really struggled with, right? However, I think laterally is going to be the question for Quenton Post. If you get him out in space or a guard comes off a screen and tries to pull the coverage out laterally, that's where, I don't know if he's going to hold up moving his feet, but he's got a good feel. And again, he's not going to be in there. I know he blocked a lot of shots at Boston College because he does have good timing. And one thing he does with his shot block, he doesn't leave his feet. He understands how big he is. And so he jumps and contests late, which keeps him out of foul trouble and is also the way, ideally, that you contest shots at the rim. So I don't want to say he's not a rim protector at all, but the reality is he would crack the rotation and be on the floor. His value would be unlocking a bunch of different lineups offensively because he could stand way out on the perimeter and not just be a maybe threat, but a guy like you got to get out to. He truly believes in that shot, and that is rare when you're talking about a true 7-footer. But yeah, man, I will be very disappointed if Daquan Plowden is not a part of this roster moving forward. That's all well and good to invite him to training camp to compete. I don't know what the rules are in the NBA. Someone, maybe you can answer in the comments. If someone is in training camp with the team, do they hold the rights to sign that player through training camp? Or can another team just come swoop in like, oh, we liked Plowden in Summer League, we're going to give him a guarantee? I don't know how that works, but he earned that spot. And so hopefully this is just a step in a bigger plan to retain Plowden maybe, long term, right? And so preseason, what was it? Media day is less than a week away, and then preseason kicks off in Hawaii with training camp. There's going to be some interesting things to watch, right? It's not going to be just the typical, well, Steph's in shape and, hopefully Draymond can take the 3. Like we're going to be seeing is Looney taking outside jumpers, right? And then this battle for this 2-way spots between Pat Spencer, Reese Beekman, and Daquan Plowden. I guess technically Quenton Post could get bounced out of the 2-way spot as well. They're really making them compete. And so maybe that will add some intensity and intrigue to these preseason games. Let me know what y'all think. I think we got to keep Plowden. I'm excited for Post and what he may bring to the table, but the move doesn't really make sense as of right now today as the news has broke. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.